Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is LolaAjisafe. Today we're going to be reviewing Put a Ring on It. This is episode 9. We start in a scene. But before we begin, housekeeping, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, subscribe. So we're coming back to the Namaste Circle. Jessica is describing how she felt about Eric not acknowledging Mother's Day for her. She took herself out to dinner. Once again, she's re-emphasizing, or I guess feeling more pain about this because her thing is she feels very strongly in her family based on her background of being adopted, and him not acknowledging it or copping to it or not trying to do anything last minute just seemed to really hurt her feelings. Because explanation, for her last date, she says she felt comfortable with Shawn enough to a point where she wasn't wearing makeup on the last date, and she felt he was very attentive to what she was saying and who she was, as opposed to her appearance. And she definitely liked that, as opposed to, Eric saying that she doesn't have much to say, or she doesn't have much conversation, or doesn't really hold his interest other than her physical appearance. So she agrees, or says yes, she wants to go on an additional date with Shawn. And at this point, I wonder if her agreeing to go on this additional date is her trying to make Eric jealous, or or does she have emotions for this guy? Because I mean, in the last date, I did see her kind of, almost poke at Shawn to confess how he felt, but I don't feel she felt the same. It felt like she was just using his adoration of her, of his likeness of her, just to prop up her own self-confidence and make her feel better. But it looks like this is not who she wants that to come from. But in the meantime, she's using that just to bolster up her self-confidence and feel good about herself. That's what it looked like, the way it did on that last date. But again, of course, she's accepting another date. And I just suspect it's just to make, Eric maybe realize what he's missing, or think he's missing something. If he realizes that another man is finding her interesting, the old age trick, if I make the other person jealous, then they'll realize and appreciate what they have. So of course, because Jessica says she's going on a date, for sure Eric is saying yes to his date with Leilani. This is just his retribution, payback. He trying to pay her back. So Dr. Nicole gives them an assignment. This week they're going to be investigating family influence and how it affects the character or the flow of the relationship. Yeah. And being Nigerian, that's a big thing. If you're not familiar with the Nigerian mother-in-law, then maybe you're familiar with the Jewish mother-in-law. Those are interchangeable, but I really think that the Nigerian mother-in-law, the stereotypical Nigerian mother-in-law, is scarier than the Jewish mother-in-law. So definitely family influence is a big thing. We always kind of preach that when you marry someone, you're not just marrying that person, you're marrying the family. And as a woman, typically the responsibility and the weight always kind of rests on your shoulders. So if you have a mother-in-law who just says she's just gonna, when she rides high, she's gonna spit on you, in Cardi B's words, then it's gonna be a rough start, particularly if you marry a mother's boy or someone who doesn't speak up for you. But even then, even if he speaks up, there ain't that much he can do, because those dynamics are just kind of different. But anyway, so this is actually a core, I think it's an important core issue to investigate with anyone who's looking into, going past, Netflix and, chill phase, or just, we're just, pen pals. Important thing to explore. All right, so we will start with, so Eric goes on a date with Leilani. Leilani, from afar, she appears to be, on the surface like a nice lady, but now I feel like she's doing too much. She might be someone who is, into physical touch, everybody is, but someone who really does go deep for PDA. But I guess she has a mission. She has an assignment. She's trying to accomplish her assignment. But at the same time, I just feel she's doing too much with someone who is still somebody's man. Like, you holding his hand, you're stroking him. I'm not one who just, likes to throw out boundaries, but I feel like she's doing too much. I don't know. I think she's doing too much. And of course, Eric, who likes to live on the wild side, he's not stopping her. He's letting her go with it. And I feel he's also dipping his toe in the pool, because he's trying to prove that he's still the man. I'm still the man. I know I'm not working with NFL, but I'm still the man. This is just Lola's opinion. So he's allowing it to go on. I feel that if you're not in a relationship with someone, like, I know it's TV, but just the extent to which she's appearing to be comfortable with him. In all intents and purposes, this is somebody's boyfriend or husband to be. He's not yours. So just cozying up to him and snuggling, you know what? I don't believe that all these things up to sleeping with someone is going to have you or make you able to snatch someone away who doesn't want to be snatched away. Now, if this is someone who has no interest in the person he's with, even then, is he going to respect how you're coming at him? Like, yo, like you, I don't know, call me old school, call me, like she's doing too much. Like, there's a way to express interest in someone without crossing the line or, taking, going into the Genesis, you're opening the Genesis part of the jump off Bible. Because you just did a little too much. Like, there's a way to be, without just, take me. To me, it looks like Leilani is making herself appear to be there for the taking, if he chooses to, as opposed to him proving himself to her. And I know the context of these dates are not for her, but at the same time, sis, don't lose your little your boundaries or your morals or your rights or your standards because I don't know what you see. That, to be honest, is he all of a sudden the man of your dreams? I don't think so. So I don't know if she's stepping up that. Actually, you know what? Let me not assume. I was gonna say I don't know if she's stepping up that temp for the camera or if this is real. Leilani, fall back. And so going next, we now have a scene where both Eric and Jessica sit down to do the assignment about the family dynamics to discuss and see where they lie. And we do discover something new, that Eric doesn't really have a relationship with his mother. Jessica feels like the fact that he's not doing well or getting on with his mother has now resulted in a situation where the mother now dislikes her. Like Jessica is the reason why she and her son are not getting on. Now, I don't really need to know the family dynamics to have a little opinion about this. But going on further, Eric does say that he feels like he's in the, when he did have a contract in the past, he's done things for his mother, like bought a house, done these things. And as opposed to his mom saying, wow, I love it. Thank you, son. You made it. I'm so proud of you. She's just like, she still has a hand out for more. But yeah, you didn't furnish the house. Or where's the car? And all these things. And shoot, I'm right with him. I'd be a little peeved, to say the least. Like, it's not just about having the money to do, but someone showing a little appreciation and you not feeling like, your mother's love is conditional on what you can do for her. And I don't know if that's the true extent of it, but that's how I feel. So clearly there's some kind of dynamic or misunderstanding or miscommunication between them that the mother is not really working to resolve. When you kind of break down Jessica's, story, we know that she's adopted, and we know for this reason, when you're adopted, there's always this desire. Well, most of the time, there's this desire to always know where you're from. There's always this. Now, I'm not adopted, but I always kind of listening to people who speak about it, both on TV and in real life. There's always this desire to know where you came from. What's my family history? What's my medical history? Do I look like someone? Why did they give me up? Even though it had nothing, and this is what we do as people in all situations. A lot of times as humans, we make it about us as opposed to about it being about the other person. So they didn't even know you when they gave you up or know who you were. So really, how could it be your fault? But we always internalize these these stresses, these traumas, and make it about us. So in her mind, she's like, was she so unlovable enough where she was handed over without a back thought or a back glance? Like, is she unlovable that no one would love her, that even her mother, who's meant to love her, would give her away? So for her way of repairing and maybe not healing her, because I don't know if this really healed her, but her way of covering up that deficit or that space or that vacuum is, now that she has children, now that she wants a family, she wants to create a tight family bond, and just is really about family. But that still hasn't closed that space, that gap, that hunger, that need to always want to know why she was given up, because I guess she was raised by her aunt and her mother never did take a place. And there's always that need, and it's like, I don't know if she's gone through the steps for healing, but clearly she's doing everything else to try and cover it up, because I don't think those actions are healing her. They're covering it up. There's like putting a band-aid over a stab wound. She's only covering up this wound from the pain of being adopted and not really knowing that much about her mother or why she was adopted. And then she goes even further to mention that her mother was a prostitute, and I don't know if her father had been a John or just a relationship that didn't really last. And clearly from what she's breaking down, mother was white. The person who fathered her was black. Sometimes not even just racism, they'll make you reject a child from, you know, someone who they might have considered wayward. They considered a prostitute and didn't want to have anything to do with that life or a product of that life. And it appears that Jessica was a product of that life, or would be a reminder. So she was not received by her immediate family, that is by her mother's parents. And so she's been raised. And then she goes on further to enunciate, or, you know, maybe speculate that could this be in her DNA because she has been a dancer. And so that began to make a lot of things make sense, because she's always been very persistent in mentioning about, you know, on the inside, what she thinks, you know, feeling accepted by Shawn because she went on a date with him with no makeup, but he still liked her. And then it just kind of, when she said she was a dancer, it made perfect sense. So as a dancer, you know, she has to be alluring on the outside. She does all these things she doesn't want to do. And she, you know, all these men may lust after her and say she's all these things, but she feels like they're only, well, not feels like, but it appears they don't know who she is. They're only looking at the outer packaging. Definitely a beautiful woman with a beautiful figure. And so she feels that, you know, she wants someone who can appreciate her for who she is on the inside and not the outside. She wants to be seen, and she doesn't feel like she's been seen. So it just made a lot of sense that the one of the things she wants the most, she's not getting from her partner, Eric, who even mocks her sometimes. And I don't know if he realizes how deep that pain is of wanting to be accepted for who she is on the inside, or else I don't think he would, you know, make those, you know, very flippant remarks he's made in the past about how it's hard to have a conversation with her, but it's so easy to have conversations with these strangers. I feel like he's just been retaliating. But if he realizes the genesis and the root of that desire of hers, maybe he wouldn't be so flippant. Being adopted, not feeling loved enough to be kept, having a background as a dancer, having a mother who was a prostitute, who, you know, just all these things rack up to a feeling of her feeling less than. There's no way she's operating in her optimum without actually participating in the healing. So I feel like this whole, I hope this whole show and this whole experience, even if it doesn't result in her getting a ring on her finger, it starts the journey for her towards real, genuine, authentic healing, and not just covering up. Because we all, and I won't generalize and say we all do, but we all have ways of managing our wounds and our traumas without actually going through the proper process of healing. We're survivors, we survive. And we do what we need to do from day to day, particularly when one thing can trip us up and then it begins to show itself that, whoa, you need help, you're not healed. So I really hope for her sake, I'm not really concerned about the relationship so much about whether they get together, but really that she can really be healed for herself, for her children, more importantly, so this doesn't continue. Because, yeah, there's pain that can be passed down from generation. I don't want to say, you know, there's this sometimes, you know, the way she's thinking, like this being, you know, a certain way. Is it genetic? No, but, you know, pain can be passed on. And pain can cause a few things that will kind of have you doing the same thing your parents did. So that trauma, the trauma her mother went through, because what happened to her mother, to what did her mother go through to now become a prostitute and remain a prostitute? There's some pain and trauma there that clearly she doesn't know. And I don't know if, you know, her mother was able to resolve it. And so that pain and trauma has now passed on down to her daughter. So in order, and I believe, you know, Jessica has daughters, in order for that not to pass down to her children, she needs to do the healing now. And I think that's what we all need to be cognizant of, is like, we sometimes call them generational curses. But when you want to break it down to little small bites, we can simply say this is pain and trauma that seems to pass on from one generation to another. And pain and trauma can cause specific things that can parlay as, you know, symptoms. And these symptoms could be the same from generation to generation. But if Jessica sits down here and says, you know what, it stops here with me right now, and then making sure her children if she and her children get help, then they can cut off this thing and it doesn't go on to the next, it doesn't go into the next generation. So yeah, Jessica, I'm rooting for you. Of course, you know, Eric sees you know, I don't know if they haven't had a conversation, like they've been together 4 years, but sometimes we as people can sometimes have relationships just occupy certain levels and never really get down to the ground level where all the work is, where the meat and potatoes of the issues are. So maybe this is the first time they've had like a conversation such as this, because it seems apologetic and almost, you know, he's taken aback. And I guess usually when you have conversations like that, you tend to feel closer with his partner. So now maybe he feels a little bit closer. Going into Jessica's date with Shawn, really taken by her. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know what to say sometimes, you know, and they did mention that, you know, we all say it, like, nice guys finish last. It's like he seems really taken by, he appears, let me put it like this, because I'm only shown edited versions shown by Own Network, but I don't know as a bystander how much time they've spent for him to be taken by who she is. Has he really gotten to know who she is, or is he really just taken by appearance? And she seems like a sweet girl and not arrogant, and, you know, certain things that he might be turned off by, because he seems to have a genteel nature and probably seems drawn to the fact that she appears to be gentle, but she seems to be doing the same thing that she was doing with the last date, you know, almost, you know, needling him to get adoration and praise, to feed herself, to boost her confidence, to feel a little better, because she's making him, you know, for someone who is in a relationship, I would think one would shy away from, you know, somebody else expressing feelings for you, but she doesn't. She seems to be scooping it up and asking for more, and that's more or less to trying. It's not filling that vacuum or that hole, but at least it's helping her feel better for the moment. That's just what I'm observing. So we go to the Namaste Circle for Eric and Jessica. You know, they recap, you know, their family conversation, you know, how, you know, they were able to describe the family dynamics. You know, Eric, of course, reiterates that he feels like his mom's a taker, but he's now taken a different position of unforgiveness, but saying that he would love to write a letter. And letters are great for expressing your feelings, because one, you can actually get everything you want to say out without any rebuttal. Or, you know, particularly when it becomes an uncomfortable position with parents, sometimes, depending on the dynamic with your parent, you don't always feel comfortable saying everything out. Like, really, just so with, you know, in a letter, he can say it out. And then look at the tone, and it's out there, and he can choose to send it or not, but then he really wants to send it so she can see where it comes from. The reason why this exercise was important. There's a fear, like, because sometimes, you know, in the past episodes, Erica's mentioned something about, you know, there being, you know, a betrayal by Jessica, maybe not physically, but, you know, just emotionally, an emotional betrayal where she was talking to some other guy. And could he be now putting Jessica in that lens that she's take, but how much is she really giving? So in order for him to really heal and see things clearly, there is something we say, I don't know, you know, I didn't make it up, but it's something we always hear when they say that sometimes, a lot of time when you go into relationships, the issues you have with a parent reappear in that relationship, love relationship, marriage relationship, and it's an opportunity to heal. But sometimes, you know, a lot of the time you always have to go back to the genesis of it all, heal that, and then you'll be able to see how that was affecting you in your present relationship. And then something else Eric says, you know, like, you know, some concern, I can't remember what brought that about him, of course, wanting to resolve all these things because he doesn't want his children to see them disagree and the misunderstanding. But what I like is, you know, and the point that Dr. Nicole made was, you know, actually, it's okay. And, you know, we do hear this, you know, you don't want the children to see you fight. I mean, yeah, you don't want to be throwing punches and children watching you throw punches, but you don't want to see children to see you fight or hear raised voices. And then children grow up thinking like marriage is meant to be perfect because their parents never had raised voices. So they just kind of, you know, they were just gliding around the whole house with no misunderstandings. But more importantly, what Dr. Nicole is saying at this point is, it's not a problem for children to see disagreement, but more importantly for them to see resolution. We all will disagree. We're all not going to see the same page. We're all from different backgrounds coming together to come as one. It's not possible for that to happen without, you know, disagreements, but the resolution for them to understand that, yes, the disagreements, but there must be resolution for everything to come together. So moving on to the next couple, Shawn and Laronda. From last week, Shawn is saying he doesn't want an additional date. Laronda has had a turnabout, and I saw this. I was wondering what she was talking about before, because to all of us before she saw it, definitely looked like her and her date Derek definitely had similarities, and so she's definitely opting to go on an additional date with Derek because of their similarities to further investigate. And I thought what was kind of odd, LaRonda, maybe a little bit insensitive, was when, you know, Dr. Nicole was saying, you know, so choose, are you going on an additional date? She's like, this is hard. I mean, yeah, it's good to be honest, but also, you know, it's good to be kind to your partner. You know, homie can't take too much. Like, you talk about this is hard. He already has a feeling about this already. But anyway, so they go on to discuss their family dynamic. So when you look at the breakdown of their family dynamic, and possibly a reason why Shawn finds part of the attraction Shawn has to LaRonda, other than her physical appearance and who she is her family dynamic. She has a close-knit family. She's really cool and close with her dad. Whereas with him, he doesn't have a relationship with a good relationship with his dad. From what I understand, he's mentioned something about domestic violence, which might also explain his sensitivity. Like, he does have a really sensitive edge. And I guess that would be him as a young man feeling helpless, watching his mother, you know, suffer or undergo domestic abuse or domestic violence. That might be part of the tone there, that he felt helpless. Although sometimes it makes, when, you know, children witness that helplessness, when they feel helpless at that age, they almost become the opposite as adults, and so they're always very aggressive and, you know, trigger hair temper. But he seems to have been on the other end, where the helplessness it kept him at a point where he's sensitive to emotions and what's going on to his environment, whatever the case may be. And he also mentions that part of the reason why he's not close to his dad is dad and an alcoholic. So I guess, you know, a lot of the time alcoholism and domestic violence kind of, you know, go hand in hand, not to excuse one or the other, but just to say that it looks like, you know, when you hear this picture, his dad was an alcoholic, possibly beating on his mom, and, you know, poor Shawn was a bystander who couldn't really affect, you know, change the situation. And so I think with Shawn, when he looks at that, probably as a boy, you know, you make these declarations as children, I'm never going to be like that, I'm never going to do that. And so with him, he's constantly feeling that pressure and fighting that his father's shadow not to be like his dad. And that pressure to be a better person, sometimes you don't even see when you are being a better person. But LaRonda, understanding this picture, you know, wants him to have some kind of reconciliation, because she feels like the fact that she has a good relationship with her dad, she wants him to, like, I don't know, and I don't feel like LaRonda is really empathizing with the position he's in. Not to say that she shouldn't want him to heal, but she seems to want him to just get back with the dad and be good with the dad when there are deep-seated issues. Maybe, I don't know if she has the capacity or the depth to really understand it because she hasn't been through it. But there's some deep-seated issues that require more than just, you know, reconciling, you know, I think there's more to it than that. And I don't know if she's able, or maybe I don't know if we're just not seeing it on camera, if she's able to really understand where he's coming from. You know, she meets up with Derek again. You know, Derek seems like fairly attractive guy, seems like a nice guy, seems very intentional about what he wants and what he's looking for. So definitely looks like a serious guy, because once again, he says something in his little confessional about him wanting to meet up with again, not to be blindsided by their similarities, but to also continue to rule in or rule out certain things, which is what Leilani should be doing. Like, is, you know, because at this point, you know, Derek's looking like, is, you know, LaRonda, does she really suit me? He's going through his, you know, his checklist. He's not just saying, oh, take me. And that's what I think we need to do as women. When we're going on dates, don't feel flattered by attention, or he's good looking, or he's, you know, well-to-do, or he's all these, whatever these things are. But like going down to your mental list and you're taking notes, which is why becoming intentional is very important. Check, does he fit what I want? I'm not telling you to come up with some expanded, you know, Barbie idea of who he should be list, but real solid things that you would have thought of prior to meeting this person. What do you want? What do you need? And as a Christian, of course, we say these are things we pray about as well. So there's a clarity when we say that, you know, when you meet, there'll be an understanding. You're still going through that list. Like, okay, is he this? Is he that? How is he going to be with this? How is he going to be with these different things? And that appears to be what Derek is doing. He's very intentional about what he's looking at. Yes, we have similarities. Is that enough? What else is she about? What did it like? And that's what we need to be doing as women. So go into their Namaste Circle. You know, they do the family recap, the father differences. You know, LaRonda's real close to her dad, whereas, you know, Shawn isn't. And, you know, you know, when I hear Shawn talking about his relationship with dad, it seems like, yeah, he seems mad at his dad, resentful of his dad, but true to form, true to life, seems to be like still some unrequited love there. He still loves his dad in spite of all of these things. All of the things that he's mad at his dad about. There's still that love there that he feel like, yeah, he doesn't love me. And that's it for children. That's the responsibility we have as parents. We don't know the impact we have on our children and what that impact takes on further on down the line. I love that Dr. Nicole kind of had him split it up into, you know, reconciliation versus resolution, that, you know, they don't necessarily have to reconcile for him to have resolution. So you can have your healing without you guys reconciling. If it's too toxic or if it's too, or any of these things, you all don't have to be together. You don't have to have resolution with reconciliation. One can happen without the other. So you can get his healing. AKA, he doesn't need his dad to heal. He can forgive his dad from afar if that's what needs to be done. So of course, when they talk about their dates, you know, Shawn didn't go on a date. He got nothing to talk about. LaRonda, you know, has decided not to have another date. Let's see how this rolls. We're getting towards the end, and, you know, of course, in some part of the episode, they did show the ladies meeting up just to have a one-on-one with Alexia, just to see how she was doing. And at that time, she appeared to be okay, you know, still claiming her throne, still saying, you know, I guess wondering, you know, when they exchange numbers, when they do this, when they do that. Actually, you know, yeah, you know, when you go through heartbreak, I think you can just like up and down, up and down. So she seems to be going through the up and down of it. But I do wonder, when I'm thinking realistically for Alexia, the financial aspect. Was Darion responsible and taking care of her financially completely? And where does that leave her? Because to be honest, we do make decisions based on this. Is she in a position to make the decisions best for her? Or is she now limited by, you know, maybe her leaning on him financially? I don't know. And that didn't come up. And so I hope Alexia as well. It's always good, not arrogantly, but it's always good to have your own, so you are not limited in your options of what needs to be done. Anyway, guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Let's see what happens next week. It looks like there's some more fire going on. You know, Eric and Jessica, are they gonna make it? Shawn and Laronda, is, you know, Laronda really done with Derek, or is there something else going on? Guys, it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, the video's been coming a little late. I have a lot of things happening, but I still, you know, trying to make time to make sure we're meeting up here in this circle. But once again, have a great day. Lola, over and out.